All right, guys. So today we're going to start with the development of self, and we're going to kind of talk about how that evolves throughout the lifespan. So our very beginnings of self-development are this understanding that we are separate from our parents happens roughly between 17 or 24 months. So this is where the baby for the first time knows that it's his reflection in the mirror. Okay? So they tested this by painting a red nose on a baby, and they found when the baby tried to brush away the paint from their nose or noticed it or touched their nose, that they understood that they were separate than their parents. And this happens in varying ages depending upon how you were raised and where you were raised. They also start to, at around toddler age, understand the limits of their abilities on a very rudimentary scale. So you see kids at this age, if you make a complex motion with a toy and they understand that they can't follow, they're often frustrated. So some of the things that we're going to talk about are theory of mind, basically meaning as a child, do you understand that you have a different way of thinking or that you are completely separate in your thinking than someone else? Understanding that not everyone has the same perspective. They also start to understand rudimentary morality. So if you look at different experiments, you will see that they tend to pick the good character in the experiment, even if it's only with puppies or puppets. So during the preschool years, when they express their own ideas, they basically base themselves off of things that they can physically do. So if they are the fastest runner in the class, that's a part of their self-concept. If they love to eat a certain food, that's a part of their self-concept. Just basic physical things that they can do that are very tactile. They also tend to overestimate their abilities. What are some other things that affect preschoolers in the development of selves? The culture that they are a part of. So if you are in a culture that has a collectivistic orientation, so these are going to be cultures which value the well-being of the whole over the well-being of the individual, then that's going to be a part of your self-identity. So folks in collectivistic cultures tend to think that it's more important to protect everyone and that they should do what's best for the greater good. If you're in an individualistic orientation or an individualistic culture, which is the kind that we are in, that's the United States, you tend to think about yourself before the greater good of everyone else. And so you might do things that would be beneficial to you, or this is sort of the phrase, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. So you feel like you have to behave in a certain way or do something in order to get the attention, and that's the best way to go. Now, either or is not better or worse, they're just different. So what are some other things that we can start to see in this preschool age? So around 3 or 4, what you see in children who are not a part of the majority race, so in the United States, that would be like the majority race is white. So people who don't belong to the majority would be like Black people, for example. They will experience, now this is not every child, but they will experience something called race dissidence. So dissidence meaning like a difference or a separation. So at this age, they will start to associate their particular race with negative stereotypes and will often want to distance themselves or not find that particular race to be as desirable. So if you ask them to choose which child is the nicer child or which child is the good child, they often choose children who are white or approaching whiteness. And if you're like, really, this little? Yes. Not every kid is different, but on average, this tends to happen. And it's usually because there are subtle attitudes that are given by other people, often without their awareness, that children pick up on and they learn how to behave. And if you want a way to think about this differently, think about how you see some kids afraid of bugs and some kids aren't. Are they afraid of bugs because bugs are naturally scary? Perhaps, but are they afraid of bugs because they watch adults in their lives cringe at them? Okay, without even meaning to, without teaching that child that. So how do you and your self-concept evolve over time? So as we start to reach middle childhood, so we're going out of elementary school into middle school and then later into high school, we start to value ourselves for more than just what we can, like how fast we can run or our favorite color is pink. We start to see ourselves as maybe hardworking, as maybe like the cool friend. And then once we get into adolescence, our self-concepts become even more complex. So at this point, people are able to see themselves as they actually are and to see themselves as complex individuals. So they might describe